Greetings, Saints of Tomorrow. Mary is one of the most revered and significant figures in the Catholic tradition. Her life, her nature, and her unique relationship with Jesus Christ and the Church are central to the faith. Beyond theological study, Mary's person holds deep meaning for faithful, serving as a model of love, devotion, and humility. Her unwavering faith in her role as the Mother of Christ makes her a key figure in the story of salvation. Understanding Mary is not only to know her role in the history of redemption, but also to see her as a living example of how to walk faithfully with God in the world today. Marian Theology is more than a study of one individual. It is a lens through which we comprehend the mystery of the Incarnation and God's interaction with humanity. Mary is often referred to as the mirror of the Church, and in understanding her, we gain insight into the Church's identity, mission, and destiny. Furthermore, because of her unique relationship to Jesus, Mary becomes a model of discipleship, obedience, and divine intimacy for every Christian. Marian theology did not emerge in a vacuum. From the earliest days of Christianity, believers reflected on Mary's role in salvation history. The early church fathers, such as St. Ignatius of Antioch, St. Irenaeus, and St. Justin Martyr, drew connections between Mary and Eve, seeing Mary as the new Eve, who, by her obedience, counters Eve's disobedience. This typological reading of Scripture laid the foundation for centuries of Marian thought. In the councils of the Church, particularly the Council of Ephesus in 431, Mary was solemnly proclaimed Theotokos, God-bearer. This dogmatic declaration was crucial, not only because it affirmed Mary's title, but because it underscored the truth of Christ's divinity. Marian theology, therefore, safeguards Christological doctrine. How we understand Mary impacts how we understand Jesus. There are a few key principles to guide Marian theology. The first is Christocentrism. True Marian devotion and theology always point to Christ. Mary has no significance apart from her relationship to her Son. She is the first and perfect disciple, always leading others to Jesus. The second is ecclesiology. Mary is not only a figure from the past, but a living member of the Church. She is the Mother of the Church, a title officially proclaimed by Pope Paul VI at Vatican II. Understanding Mary helps us understand the Church's identity, especially in her maternal and nurturing roles. The third is typology. As mentioned earlier, typology plays a vital role in Marian theology. Mary is prefigured in the Old Testament by figures like Eve, the Ark of the Covenant, and the Daughter of Zion. Each of these types deepens our understanding of Mary's spiritual significance. And the final one is anthropology. Mary shows us the highest possibility of human nature in cooperation with divine grace. She is fully human, yet through grace she becomes the most exalted of all creatures. Her life reveals the potential of holiness in every human being. Marian theology draws from a variety of sources. The first is sacred scripture. Though Mary speaks little in the Bible, her presence is deeply significant. Key passages include the Annunciation, Luke 1, the Visitation, also in Luke 1, the Magnificat, Luke 1 verses 46 through 55, the Nativity in Luke 2, the Presentation in the other half of Luke 2, the Wedding at Cana in John 2, and her presence at the Crucifixion in John 19. The next source is sacred tradition, the teachings of the Church Fathers, the liturgy, Marian feasts, and devotional practices from a rich tradition that continues to shape Marian theology. The third is the magisterium. The Church's teaching authority has defined several dogmas regarding Mary and has provided clarifying documents such as Pope Pius XII's Munificentissimus Deus on the Assumption, and Vatican II's Lumen Gentium, which devotes an entire chapter to Mary. The final source is the liturgy. Prayers and feasts of the Church reflect her beliefs. Marian feasts like the Immaculate Conception, the Assumption, and the Annunciation reveal deep theological truths through worship. There is a distinction between Marian theology and Marian devotion. The importance of this distinction can't be overstated. Marian theology is the formal and academic discipline, whereas Marian devotion is a living expression of the love and reverence for the Mother of God. Rosaries, novenas, scapulars, pilgrimages, those are all examples of devotions that flow from the theological understanding. When grounded in sound theology, devotion avoids superstition and becomes a true path of spiritual growth. Many outside the Catholic faith, and even some within, misunderstand Christ's teachings on Mary. Common misconceptions include that Mary is worshipped. The Church distinguishes between latria, which is worship due to God alone, and dulia, which is the high honors given to the saints, which are created creatures. Mary is venerated, not worshipped. Another common misconception is that the Marian dogmas detract from Christ, and in truth, the Marian dogmas protect and affirm Christological truths. The Immaculate Conception, for example, points to Christ's redemptive work from the moment of Mary's conception. And the title Theotokos, or God-bearer, points to Christ's divinity, that he is truly God and truly man. The third common misconception is that Mary is a goddess figure. The Church's teaching is clear. Mary is fully human. Her greatness lies not in divinity, but in perfect cooperation with divine grace. Marian theology is often a point of tension between Catholics and other Christian traditions. Protestants in particular may struggle with the doctrines and devotions surrounding Mary. Dialogue and careful theological explanation are essential. Vatican II emphasizes that Mary's role should be presented in a way that clarifies rather than obscures her connection with Christ. Ecumenically, there has been some movement. For instance, many Anglicans and some Lutherans recognize Mary as the Theotokos and honor her example of faith. The shared recitation of the Magnificat and acknowledgement of Mary's yes to God are points of unity. But why study Marian theology today? Because Mary continues to be a guide and intercessor in the modern world. She appears in apparitions such as Lourdes, Fatima, Guadalupe, calling humanity back to prayer, penance, and faith. Her maternal presence is a source of comfort in a fragmented world. Moreover, Mary speaks to contemporary issues, women's dignity and vocations. Mary is a model of strength, obedience, and holiness. She shows that dignity does not depend on the status or power, but on one's relationship with God. She is also an example for pro-life issues. Mary, the Mother of Life, points to the sacredness of every human life, from conception to natural death. Marian theology also points us to social justice. The Magnificat is a powerful call for justice, mercy, and humility in the face of human pride and power. Mary's relationship with the saints is also relevant, their universal role in the Church. Saints throughout history have turned to her for intercession and inspiration. St. Louis de Montfort, St. John Paul II, St. Maximilian Kolbe, and St. Teresa of Calcutta all emphasized Marian devotion as a path to deeper union with Christ. Marian theology is not peripheral to the Christian faith, it is central. Through Mary, we understand more fully the mystery of the Incarnation, the nature of discipleship, and the mission of the Church. She is the masterpiece of God's grace and the mother of all believers. To know Mary is to grow closer to Jesus. To love her is to love the one she bore.